कर देंगे
क्या?
वो रीनेम कर देंगे आप सीसैट वाली?
हाँ
शॉर्ट्स
कर देंगे। अभी क्या जल्दी है, बहुत शॉर्ट्स पड़े हैं अभी तो।
ठीक है, कल 4 किया मैंने।
हम्म,
एक ही बात है।
ठीक है, लाइव स्ट्रीम स्टार्ट कर दिया क्या? ये क्या है? हाँ,
तो कैसे आएगा?
अपने आप आता है। लाइव स्ट्रीम पहले स्टार्ट करते हो। सैटरडे को कैसे आ गए? सैटरडे नोबडी कम्स ना। अरे यार, yeah, yeah. So let's get started. Science and Tech Current Affairs. Now, first of all, the most important current affair of last week is this bill called Shanti Bill. Okay, this is sustainable harnessing, this, that. Basically, this is about, so you know about something called space space sector, and you understand nuclear sector. So space sector and nuclear sector used to be totally government controlled. Then a few years back they opened up the space sector for private companies and private entities also, then became in space and all other agencies. Now similar thing through this bill. Now it used to be a bill, now it has been passed over the week, so it has passed from both the houses of parliament, so now it has become an act. Now this aims to do the same thing, that is, it aims to provide private or non-governmental entities participation in India's nuclear energy sector. Okay, now the full form is Sustainable Harnessing and Advancement of Nuclear Energy for Transforming India. Okay, so the full form is fine. Full form is just to make this Shanti, even though this is about nuclear power. Now, see, so why India is focusing on this? So first thing is India has a target of 100 gigawatt by 2047 using nuclear. Now, see, One more thing that you might have heard about is SMR. This is small modular reactors. This was also announced in our budget that we need to focus on small modular reactors because setting up big nuclear power plants is a very high cost initial investment. So we should focus on SMR. Okay, now considering this, now when the government is thinking about small modular reactors, okay, and this big targets of nuclear energy, so what they would want, they would naturally want that the private sector also contributes in it. Okay, and there is some foreign funding that can also flow in this sector so that we can grow faster. Otherwise, we won't be getting to this target. Then, now see, what is Shanti Bill? Now an act. Now, see, this was tabled in Parliament. What it does, it opens the nuclear sector. It opens nuclear sector for private and foreign participation. Both of these are getting open, private as well as foreign. Now, it repeals and replaces. It repeals and replaces two acts: Atomic Energy Act 1962 and Civil Liability for Nuclear Damage Act 2020. These are the two acts, if you know about them, which largely governs nuclear energy in India. This is about atomic energy and other is about civil liability, who will be taking liability in case of any kind of damage caused by nuclear energy. Okay, now both of these will be repealed first of all and will be replaced by this bill. So it is completely replacing these two acts. Okay, then now see, what policy needs is the Shanti Bill addressing. What is it addressing? This is the first thing. So first thing is India's nuclear share is right now 3% of the electricity in 2024 and 2025. So we are completing only 3% of our electricity needs from nuclear, which is very low. Our aim is 100 gigawatts by 2047. This includes 5 operational indigenous SMRs by 2033. This is the sub target that we have decided, that we will develop 5 small modular reactors indigenously by 2033. Now, why do we need to invest so much in nuclear power? Why do you think? Why should we invest in nuclear power? Huh? Why is nuclear power needed? There is so much renewable energy and all different kinds of energy you hear about, wind, solar, this, that. Why do we still need nuclear power? Huh? Because with renewable, there is some issue. For example, renewable energy has an issue of intermittency. That is, it gives intermittent power. For example, solar, for the 8 hours when sun is there shining bright, then solar works good, but otherwise not. Similarly, wind also, it is there only for some time. Then after this, so what is the issue with renewable energy or renewable power? Is another issue is of storage. So what is the major issue? That this cannot be something called reliable base load power. Renewable energies cannot be reliable base load power, as in there are some things that would need constant electricity, correct? Constant power it will need. Some high value industries, any kind of industry to run. Now this renewable have a lot of intermittency, so we cannot use them as base load power. Right now, what is the base load power for almost all the industries? It is the energy that we get from coal, that is fossil fuel based. Why? Because you are very sure that if I take this coal, I burn it in a thermal power plant, I will get this much energy. It is a constant thing. It won't happen ki today the weather is like this, so we cannot produce energy. It won't work like this. So nuclear gives you this advantage. So first thing is that nuclear energy is clean. Nuclear energy is clean and still it is much more reliable and can act as base load power. So it can be a reliable base load. This is why we need nuclear energy. because we'll be able to replace the amount of energy that we need from renewable energy also. But for the base load power, for the large generation continuous effect of power that we need, for that we will have to develop nuclear, because this is clean also and reliable also, because inside a closed nuclear power plant or a small modular reactor we can generate electricity. Then need, so nuclear scale up plus large capital. If we want to scale up nuclear energy, and for that we need large capital, then private entities will share the construction risk, as well as private entities and foreign entities will bring in more fund also to grow this much faster. Then what changes does Shanti bring in the nuclear operations and ownership? See, so now center may license nuclear activities to eligible entities. Now earlier the eligible entities only used to be government agencies only. Now see, eligible entities are of course government agencies, correct? Then there are some joint ventures that are also allowed, that is between private and government. Then any other company from the private sector, they can also contribute. Now for every different thing, for example opening up a nuclear power plant or opening up a small modular reactor, making small modular reactors, all will have different eligible entities, okay? But those will be clear when it gets implemented. Right now it is just telling you that there will be some eligible entities and we will start allowing private sector in. Then next is new operators are. Now one thing that while tabling in the parliament, the minister said that mainly domestic private players are to be involved. The involvement of foreign entities will be minimal, okay? So one criticism that people were giving, that now all foreign entities will start investing in nuclear power in India and will be very susceptible to any changes that they want, okay? So this they have made clear that this is mainly to include our private players. Then now see, sensitive fuel cycle, nuclear waste management and proliferation functions, these are still held by state only. So sensitive fuel cycles, that is that which involves the fuel because it is a radioactive fuel. Nuclear waste management, after its work is done, then nuclear waste, how it will be managed, as well as proliferation functions. Proliferation means what? Making of nuclear weapon. So nuclear weapon making, all this will be controlled by the state only, correct? This is so that India's security is ensured. Now what will the private sector get to do? Private's role will be non-sensitive power generation segments only, okay? So because you will hear random things about, now they are giving everything to this, that private agency, Adani, Ambani, whatever they will tell you. So the thing is, they are only transferring power generation segments so that it can be expanded. The very important parts, that still the state will have complete monopoly over. Understood? Then next, how does Shanti address nuclear liability and supply recourse concerns? Now see, this you need to understand. So that civil liability for nuclear damage act that you saw, now that act, the problem with this act was that there was a provision called gross negligence for the suppliers of inputs and parts. So basically whoever is the supplier of inputs and part, because of gross negligence, they can be held liable to pay the damages. So the thing is, now gross negligence is a very generic term. So it may mean, for example, if there is some nuclear damage caused, that means some issue will be there with the nuclear reactor. Now of course there will be some amount of negligence because of which that happened. So effectively in all the cases, whenever there is something caused, some nuclear damage is caused, the entire thing will fall on the supplier. This used to be was written in the act. Now this was a problem why we were not getting foreign funding or proper suppliers. So this was an issue. Now government is saying that we will sort of protect the suppliers. Now of course there are negatives to this also that we'll understand later. You understand what is the issue? Earlier it was gross negligence. Now of course there is negligence. So effectively the entire thing used to fall on the suppliers, most of it, and they had to pay very large damages. Now what they have changed here is this. So basically this was specific to India. Now the liability regime has been aligned with the global norms. Global norms is something different. Okay, now understand how they work. So there are two entities. One is supplier, which will supply the input equipments, and one is operator, which will operate the nuclear power plant. Now the government says that we are capping operator liability cap will be of 3000 crores. So they have given three tiers based on size of nuclear plant. 1000 crore, 1500 crore, maximum is 3000 crore. This only you need to remember. So 3000 crore is the maximum liability that you can place on the operator for nuclear damage. Okay, now if it exceeds, let's say the damage cost is much wider than 3000 crore, then beyond cap center will be liable. So center itself will assume the liability, that is center will pay the damages. Okay, in some cases in public interest they may assume full liability also. Okay, now see, when will supplier be held liable? This is important. Supplier recourse will be applicable. Recourse means when supplier will be held accountable only if first is written contract says so, and the other is intent to cause nuclear damage. Now see, earlier it used to be gross negligence hua, then it will come to supplier, supplier has to pay the damages. Now what they are saying, this supplier and operator of course go under an agreement or a contract, correct? They must be having some contract. He is supplying materials to him and he is operating it. Now in this particular contract only they should write down the liability. Okay, they should mutually agree to liability concerns. Basically, if this much is damaged, I will pay this much, you will pay this much is damaged. If damage is in this parts, then this. So basically now this supplier and operator within its contract will write about the liability also. Now you understand. So here he can be held liable if it is mentioned in his contract. Now the issue would be what? That this supplier and this operator may have some different contract, different liability norms, and some other supplier and some other operator will have some different liability norms. Now that can be an issue. Okay, so right now what they have reduced, so they have reduced the liability on suppliers. First is it must be in the written contract, then it will be applicable, and the other is to intend to cause nuclear damage. Now gross negligence they have removed. If there was any issue, some negligence will be there, then it was on the supplier. Now they are saying only if you can prove that this supplier S had an intent to cause nuclear damage in India, then only he will be held liable. Otherwise not for negligence. Okay, now of course this is too much protection for the suppliers, so that is why it is somewhat being criticized also. Now result is supplier liability becomes contract dependent. Understood? Based on the contract. Earlier it used to be different. Now what role does Atomic Energy Regulatory Board play under the Shanti framework? Now see, the thing is, this body becomes important. Also, good questions can be framed by making statements about this agency. Now understand, this is AERB. Now the thing is, if you read the entire act, in the act you will find that there are two chapters. One of the chapters heading is Constitution of AERB. That is, by this very act we are constituting Atomic Energy Regulatory Board. Okay, and another chapter is there in which they are talking about functions of AERB. Now, understand, this AERB is not being made completely newly by this act, but understand why they have written like that in the chapters. Now, see, AERB, AERB was constituted in 1983 via Executive Order under Atomic Energy Act 1962. Executive order से money, that means, is it a statutory body? No. Executive order, not a statutory body. When an act is passed for it, particularly, then it becomes a statutory body. So this is because of an executive order, not a legislative one. That's why originally AERB was not statutory. Originally it was not statutory body. Now, when they are repealing this act, they are coming up with a new act. That's why in the act they have mentioned very clearly that under this act, under this new act, now we are constituting AERB again. Now, under the new act, not by some executive order, within the act it is itself written that we are constituting AERB. Now, any body that is constituted directly by the act is called statutory body. So now it has become statutory body. If you read the act, if anybody has any confusion, because if you ask ChatGPT and all, they have confusion. If you read the act, the last page talks about the motives or objectives of bringing this act. In that also they have mentioned in one singular point that this is to confer statutory status on AERB. Now there are many advantages of getting a statutory status. It gets many more powers. Okay, so now it is a statutory body. Now wrong statement can be made that AERB was established under the Atomic Energy Agency Act as a statutory body in 1983. Wrong statement. Other statement can be AERB is a so these are the two more bodies. Now, of course, what AERB does? If anybody is trying to establish any nuclear power plant, somebody has to take care of all the norms. So safety authorization is mandatory for all nuclear entities. That is mainly done under AERB. It is the, now so you understand, it's a statutory body, so it will have most of the power that is there in the nuclear sector. Now, what concerns remain despite the proposed reforms? So first is this 3000 cap. Now, will it be adequate for the victims? Because we have seen that if there is some, let's say, nuclear leakage in nuclear power plant, it can have much larger impact. So capping it, is it correct? Because is it adequate for the victims and the environment? That is being questioned. Second issue, the removal of right to recourse against suppliers for gross negligence. This is the most technical point, and this you should mention. Otherwise, your answer becomes generic. Okay, that is, they have removed the right to recourse against supplier for gross negligence. Now, what they have made? Only you have to prove, yes, that you had the intent to cause nuclear damage. Then, next, supplier liability varies contract to contract, another issue. Then regulatory independence concern. Now understand, this AERB they have established, but how the members or chairpersons of AERB is selected is via committee. Now in that committee you have Center plus Atomic Energy Commission's influence directly. Basically they only are in the search cum selection committee. So eventually they are only appointing the chairperson as well as the members. So that's why it is being said that even though you made it statutory, it is not that independent still. Now, there are also in its function and its power, many things are written with respect to its finances, functions, selection and removal. All this of AERB is not completely independent. So it is not like some RBI we have made. Okay, it is still very much dependent. This is another concern. Last concern is of course with a very basic understanding. You can understand this, that public trust and safety concern will always be one point when you are dealing with nuclear energy. Now see, why it will be a safety concern? Why do you think?
Now the private, they have given to private insurance.
Yes.
For the profit they will.
Yes, good. So basically, private sector entities will always be driven by profits. And here you are not dealing with some normal hazardous industry also. Like normal hazardous chemical industries, crackers industry, that is hazardous. You are dealing with ultra hazardous industry. This is ultra hazardous. One issue and it can destroy the entire region. Okay. So now opening it to profit driven private sector is fundamentally a issue. Okay. Now, if you were to conclude it, the answer to all of these should be that this is a very good bill. Now it is an act. The thing is that whatever are the regulation part of it, that should be strong. Just stopping the entire private sector in India to contribute is not a very wise decision. It's a very dogmatic decision. So the step is in the right direction, but what is important that things are taken very, very seriously in this domain. There should not be red taping, this corruption, that corruption. We don't have scope of all this, at least in this sector. So the regulation needs to be extremely strong for the people who are operating these nuclear energy projects in private sector, as well as for the officials who will be officiating all these act. Okay, so that should be your conclusion, that even though there are certain issues, what we can say that it is a step in the right direction. What is required is its effective implementation. Okay, very strict and effective implementation is needed. Then we come to Antariksh Prayogshala. This is a simple topic. See, so basically what has done, so Antariksh Prayogshala or space labs. So in space has issued a request for proposal. Now for what? To establish Antariksh Prayogshala or space labs. This will be established at select academic institutions across India. So basically what they are saying that there are 7 zones. We will try to make Antariksh or space labs in all these 7 zones. One institutions we'll start with, then we will establish it in more and more institutions. Why do you think they will be doing this? To get the students and other entities hands-on experience with respect to space tech. So now this is initiative of InSpace. Now first of its kind space laboratories within academic institutions, then provides hands-on training in space technologies, enables industry academic collaboration, now supports India's vision of global space economy. So very basic, giving hands-on experience to all these people. Okay, now this is actually allowing all kinds of entities. For example, of course, students are allowed. Okay, professors, all the teachers that are there in the college, those are allowed. Also the industry people, if they want some hands-on experience, that is non-governmental agents, entities, all these are also allowed. Okay, so space labs are not very restrictive as such. They won't be doing some very high-tech research. Understand the difference. This is not space lab for high-tech research that they will establish in ISRO. What they are doing here is to make people more acquainted with it, people who are studying technology. Now how it will be distributed? So up to 7 institutions selected in phases, 1 lab per zone for balanced regional representation. Okay, then usable by academic institutions, usable by non-governmental entities also, no problems. What financial support they are providing? So InSpace will fund 75% of the total project cost. 75% InSpace will fund, maximum is 5 crore per institution. Now when they achieve some milestones, the funding can be increased. That's fine. Then what is InSpace and why it is important? So InSpace, you would know, InSpace is what? Yeah, so basically this is a Indian National Space Promotion and Authorization Center. This is a autonomous single window nodal agency under Department of Space. What it does, so like we understood there, when our space sector was opened for the private sector, then understand one thing, in economy you understand this, private and public sector. Now till the time everything is public sector only, then it is fine, the regulator may be anybody, does not matter much. But when private sector entry also you allow, now you cannot have those same entities as the regulator also. Correct? For example, Coal India was there was no other agency, then Coal India was regulating everything also. But if you have to open it for the private sector, then what you need? You need an independent regulator, so that private sector is not discriminated against. Understood? So that's why if space sector is there, now ISRO was there, now if ISRO itself becomes the regulator also, then that is a problem. Why it will support private sector projects? Like, you may feel for the nation this that, but private entities and public entities, if they are competing, there should be a common regulator. So now that common regulator that was established was in space. Now in this bill, in that Shanti bill also, they are talking about another independent regulator that they will establish. Now the name and all is not very clear as of now, but they will establish again an independent regulator. Now, so this is that independent regulator. This was created after space sector reforms. Then this promotes, authorizes and supervises space activities of non-governmental entities. Correct? Then acts as an interface between ISRO and private or academic sectors, because most of the research is done by ISRO. So ISRO and InSpace. Now InSpace is a autonomous entity. Using this, they get connected to the private or academic sector, and what they can do, they can produce the same thing in mass quantity or do some more spin-off technologies. All these can be done. Then we come to Kavach system. See, this you might have heard, was in news also. Okay, this is a anti-collision system. So basically it is made to avoid collision of trains. Now it has many different components. First of all, okay, so you remember all the components, that is very difficult. So basically it is a foolproof system. What is Kavach? So Kavach is a very foolproof system. It has components on the train, on the track, along the track, okay, in the station where this gets managed, where should be the train, in which direction they should go, which station they should stop, all that there also. So, and also connected to the satellites. So basically it is a complete system providing checks in all these different units, eventually to stop train collision. The accuracy becomes so good that the safety rating that it has got is 1 accident in 10,000 years. Okay, so basically very, very high safety rating it has got. Now, it started as a pilot project in 2023-24, and after that, now we have extended a few kilometers of this Kavach laid railway tracks. Now, let's understand how it works. So basically, what it has something called now on these rail lines, they have something called RFID tags. RFID is what? Radio frequency identification tags. Like you have FASTag, that is also RFID tag. Now these tags are placed on the rail track. Now on the track, mostly near some intersections where there are chances of collision, near the stations, okay, all those places they have tags placed. Now these trains, below the engine, they will have something called RFID reader. Okay, now RFID reader can do what? It can read whatever is written in the tag. Now what does the tag have? The tag have information of exact point at which you are. So basically it is giving the location access to this First of all, to the loco pilot who is sitting here, who is driving this, he will get the information that at what point I have reached exactly. Then there are systems along the rail track that is giving it signaling, that is the track is open, red, green, all that signaling is present. Now signaling systems are also connected through these covered system eventually to give information to the loco pilot. And also the speed sensors are there in the train, which again the loco pilot can access. So based on, so these three things are being available to the loco pilot, that is his location exact, his speed and signaling. Now based on this constant per minute real time data that he is getting, he'll be able to decide much better. Now after this, whatever information is there is also, he is also getting this through satellites, and this same information is getting to the station building also, where they manage which train should come now, which train should stop. Sometimes they stop you at the outer, correct, not stopping at the stations because the track is not clear. So that information is getting there also. Now see, so this is called train collision avoidance systems or TCAS units. TCAS units are present in the train also as well as in the station also, and they have many other different systems that will do this. Now based on this, if some part of this is not working fine based on the station, some other train is also coming, this that, then what will happen, it will start generating alerts in the form of sound, light, all this will start, and the driver would get to know immediately that something is wrong and I should stop the train. Stopping is the best way to solve anything, correct? Now if the loco pilot is not able to control, if he is not there, whatever happens to him, if he is not doing this, then it also has a automatic system. So the last thing that it will do is it has automatic braking system. So it will automatically, if the pilot is not responding, it has reached a critical distance, then it will automatically stop. Also one more capability that they give is inter-train communication is also possible between loco pilots, so that they can also coordinate and get the location as well as data of the other one if they come on the same track. Now of course all these entities are involved, everything is involved, there is so much system, that's why it has a very high safety rating, correct? Now right now the issue is that right now the systems that we have, mostly it depends on the station master who is managing all this. And if the signaling is wrong, for example, let's say he had to show red but he had shown green, and if he had to take on, let's say, one path and he didn't, okay, he took another path, wrong turnings and all is not done by the loco pilot, is done at the station. Now if he does this wrong, then what will happen, they can collide, there is nothing more saving it. Of course there are 2-3 mechanisms, after that there is no saving, still we are seeing train collisions. So now they have developed a very vast system that if deployed will reduce train accidents to almost zero, because recently in last 2-3 years we have seen many train accidents also, okay. Then now why it is in use? So railway minister informed the parliament about this. So Kavach fully commissioned over 2000 kilometers. So over 2000 kilometers we have done this. Of course India's rail network is many thousands kilometers, okay. Now rapid nationwide rollout is underway. Recent train incidents linked to signal overshoot, because of this it was in news. Now see, this is about Kavach. So Kavach, the good part about it, it is indigenous, completely indigenous automatic train protection system. Automatically this is being generated, RFID reader, this that information is reaching the loco pilot, same information gets to the station also, it is giving alerts to the loco pilot, if he is not working eventually it will it will apply the brakes itself. Completely automatic system. Nobody is going there to do anything. Now, prevent signal passing at danger. Signal passing at danger is the same issue, that if there is danger and still if there is some signal issue and the train crosses it, then there may be chances of collision. Avoids collision due to overspeed and human error, because constantly it is giving information. Now the loco pilot can also not claim ki I was going fine only, my speed was this, because everything is getting measured to the point. Adopted as national automatic train protection system. Then enhanced overall rail operational safety. This is the problem that it tries to address. Then now, what is signal passing danger? Signal passing at danger or overshoot. This was a term that was used in the newspaper. So train crosses a red signal without stopping. Very simple, nothing fancy. Major causes of train collision. Okay, then this is the major cause of train collision, that is train is crossing the red signal without stopping. Human errors such as fatigue or misinterpretation, technical failures in brakes or signaling, these are the causes by which it can be caused. Weather conditions or track obstructions. He is not seeing red. Like in Delhi, the smog level is so much that if somebody is coming to meet you, you won't be able to see him unless he completely stands in front of you. So in all those smoggy conditions, it gets very difficult. Now, but the thing about Kavach is, because Kavach is connected to the satellites, to the stations, it is giving all the information to the loco pilot only. It has inter-loco pilot communication also. So it will even work in all these different scenarios. Then next, how does Kavach work? So it has automatic braking on red signal violation. So let's say the loco pilot breaks the red signals, then what will happen? First alerts, if he still does not stop, brake. Then overspeed protection. Okay, then direct locomotive to locomotive communication. Correct. Then real-time signal display inside locomotive cabin. Signal display, all these three displays are there: location, signal and speed. Then automatic whistling at level crossings. Then emergency control through distress feature. Safety integrity level 4 certificate. So this is certification level given by international authorities, and it has level 4 certified at a very low cost. The other level 4 certified systems that we have in the world are much costlier than what we have in India. Then failure probability about 1 in 10,000 years. So almost zero probability of failure after this. Then who developed Kavach? So this was developed by Research Design and Standards Organization, in short RDSO, again India here. Implemented by Indian Railways. South Central Railway Zone pioneered deployment. Okay, here it started with the deployment, and then over a time it has now been extended to 2000 kilometers. Trial sections included this, not important now. Now, gradual. So this was gradual expansion across railway network. Correct. Now, so RDSO developed it for Indian Railways. Now, why is Kavach technologically significant? So first is, this is indigenous, so self-reliance always. These two things always we connect. Among the lowest cost safety systems globally, high safety certification with digital integration. You saw 4, it was getting, then security rating 4, then large scale communication infrastructure deployed, then railway accidents reduced by nearly 90%. Okay, wherever this was deployed. Okay, then we come to Project Suncatcher. Now, the concept is very simple. What we are seeing because of artificial intelligence is the demand for data centers is huge. There is huge demands for data centers. Now you might have heard in artificial intelligence we study also that artificial intelligence also has an environmental cost. Why? Because it requires so much water for cooling, as well as so much of energy, correct? So that is a major issue. Now as AI grows, as artificial intelligence grows, this demand is only going to increase. People have invested so much on data center companies, okay? So now what Google and some other companies are also trying similar things are coming up with, they are saying that we will move our data centers to space, and our data centers will revolve around the earth, giving us whenever information that we need, and it will get energy from where? From the sun, from the solar energy. Like all satellites work on solar energy, similarly it will also work on solar energy, and we won't be dependent on burning fossil fuel and getting to the energy. Now see, so that's why it is called sun catcher. Now Project Suncatcher, Google announced a long-term research initiative. This initiative is named Project Sun Snatcher. Objective is move solar-powered data centers to space. Prototype satellites planned by around 2027. Around 2027, they may start sending prototypes. It is by Google. What they are doing? Sending data centers to space. That's it. Then what is Project Suncatcher and how it is designed? So this is based on concept of placing data processing units on satellites. Now uses continuous solar energy available in space, equipped with high performance computing chips. Satellites linked through laser based optical communication. So how they will communicate with the, let's say this is a satellite, it has the data center also. Now this is earth. Now on earth, let's say here I want to retrieve some of my data. So how it will work? They are using laser optical networks. Same thing that we are using for satellite based internet, similar thing they are doing here also. Now of course it won't be as fast, retrieval of data won't be as fast as we have right now, but we don't always need that quick data. Ultimately what we are looking at, some of the things that are not required they very frequently, then we can use these data centers. Also large amount of data that is being stored is right now not even being used. Right now there is a lot of collection that is being done of data, eventually that will be used. So all those can be handled better using this. Now, of course it has a lot of cost, this that, so feasibility of it economically we'll see later when they start deploying. Then aim is to achieve data center level computation in orbit. Okay, so in the orbit only what they will start doing, what data centers usually do. So where do data centers require so much energy? To analyze the data. So once they get all the data here, using the solar energy they will be getting the energy, and they will be doing all the computational processes. When the computational processes are done, then you get to a simplified data that can be much easily transferred back to earth. Understood? Now why are earth based data centers becoming problematic? So what is the problem? So first is rapid growth of artificial intelligence. This is increasing data demand. Now key problems with terrestrial data centers is extremely high electricity consumption. Next is heavy water usage for cooling. Then dependence on fossil fuel based power. Then vulnerability to power outages and undersea cable cuts. If you remember, there was internet outage because of some shark or whales that broke the undersea cable. Okay, so all this, and also some vulnerability to power outages. Okay, then exposure to natural disasters. Let's say there is some cyclone, now gone entire data center. Good thing about those is it is natural disaster shielded. It won't be affected by natural disasters on earth. Then overall advantages. So of course energy and environmental advantage is continuous solar radiation, no weather related disruptions. Operational advantages is what? Now first is predictable operating environment. They don't care, they know throughout the year it will be like similar environment in the space, there is no atmosphere, nothing. Then reduced exposure to terrestrial disasters. Understood? Then now understand this legal and strategic advantages. So basically one thing, good thing that they are saying is basically a loophole. So this is governed by Outer Space Treaty 1967. No national appropriation of outer space or the moon. Now in outer space treaty, it is written that there should not be any appropriation of outer space or the moon. That is fine. Now, what they are saying that all these data centers, servers that we use, for example, of Google, now that is not specifically for one country. Correct? So they are not appropriating it to one country. So they are protected by outer space treaty. They are not violating the treaty. Now, what they will do, for example, Google. Now, Google, all these countries are saying that we should have data localization. Our data of our nation's data should stay in India only. European Union has also done this. Correct? Now, what they will do, they will say that this is my Google server. I am getting data from all over the world that is getting analyzed here. This does not belong to any nation. We also do not belong to any nation. Now we can process anybody's data. No data localization. This that norm that you are bringing for us, we will be liable for it. Because current global norms, because 1967 they didn't think that they may send, there would be computers like this, they would make data centers that will be in the space. All that was very far off. So this is their plan, that they can escape data localization also using this. There are norms right now, but there are loopholes in it. So there is outer space treaty, there is moon treaty, but still there are loopholes that can be managed. Now, what are the major challenges and concerns? So challenges is of course high cost of launching and maintaining infrastructure. Correct? You are sending it there. Constant exposure to cosmic radiations. Now sunlight, even though it's giving you energy, there is also solar flares. Okay, there is coronal mass ejections. There are some celestial bodies. So there is constant chances of some cosmic radiations damaging it. Then repairs will be difficult due to absence of on-site technicians, because nobody would be there. Correct? Then communication security issues. So data latency. This is a major issue. This is why satellite internet is also not proliferating, because there will always be latency. Correct? Because your data and everything has to go that many kilometers, then that many thousand kilometers, and then come back. Especially for moon-based centers. Then cyber security concerns in extraterrestrial infrastructure. Correct? So cyber security, as in this does not belong to any country. Now which country will be getting, which country will be catching all these people who are causing some cyber threat to those data centers? Whose jurisdiction, what? So that is another issue. Then next is this Mahacrime OS. Last, very easy. This is mostly can be used as an example in mains. That is what they have done. You can just word breakdown. Mahacrime OS. Now this is Maharashtra government. This is Satya Nadella, Microsoft CEO. So basically Maharashtra government is collaborating with Microsoft to create AI based networks to deal with their policing better. This is the crux of it. So this can always be used as an example. Mahacrime OS. This is between Maharashtra State Police and Microsoft. Okay, now what this will do, understand that. So what is Mahacrime? Why it is in news? So Satya Nadella announced statewide rollout. So it started with rollout in a particular place in Nagpur. Nagpur rural, they started it. Then it worked very well there. Then they have starting to expand it throughout the Maharashtra state. Now this is AI powered investigation platform for Maharashtra Police, developed in collaboration with Microsoft, rolled out under Maharashtra AI initiative Marvel. So Marvel is their AI initiative name. Full form you need not remember. Just Marvel is Maharashtra Police Initiative. Now Marvel is Maharashtra Advanced Research and Vigilance for Enforcement of Reform Laws. Does not matter. You know how full forms are made. Then now see what it will do. So basically, see, this is artificial intelligence based crime investigation platform. This is used by Maharashtra Police, built on Microsoft Crime OS framework. Now, customized under Marvel initiative, adapted to state police protocols and judicial guidelines, interface design in Marathi for ease of use. So basically, what they are doing, essentially, they are putting all the protocols of state police in that AI. Okay, then they are also converting all the FIRs, audio, video, whatever in form, that gets converted into Marathi so that there is easy access, and that is being put in one AI system. Now, what that AI system will do well now because of this is this. So, what it will do, see, first is multimodal data ingestion. So, reads complaints and FIRs in multiple languages. Correct? Then, capable of reading Marathi FIRs. So, whatever are written in physical form, first of all, the issue is when we are trying to digitize, if you know, digitization was a major thing even when the government came, that is in 2014, when this government came, digitization was a major thing that we will digitize land record, this, but it was very slow. Why it was very slow? Because everything that was written in some weird handwriting had to be converted by some person in digital form. That is very slow. But now you have the AI systems. Even if I write very badly, I take a photo of it, and ChatGPT can generate absolutely perfect text. Even grammatical errors, if there are there, it will correct it and get the meaning out of it. So now they are doing it for all these FIRs. Now, automated investigation support. So generates investigation plans. This is the most important thing. So basically, it understands what are the norms, what Maharashtra State Police may, what you have to do in this case, and it also understands that what are the different crimes that we have seen in different parts. Now, what were the investigation methods that were taken out there? Based on that, it will suggest an investigation plan that what you should do. You should go to this village and do call record, check call records there, and do this. All the investigation plan is laid out by them. Earlier, what used to happen, or even now, what happens? Investigation plan is usually laid by some senior official. Now, that senior official is always busy. Now, for him to lay out the investigation plan, he first has to read the whole case, then see how it is related to other crimes, and then eventually get to it. So that is a slower process. Now, it will generate investigation plan, suggest investigation pathways using AI Copilot. Then profiles accused and linked individuals. So all this it will also have. Also, if there are certain crimes you might have seen in crime patrol and all, okay, they will so all the syndicates that are running, it can help out there. Then data analysis, this part analyzes telecom data for interlinkages and gathers open source intelligence. What is open source intelligence? Which is available to everybody. For example, उसका Facebook account होगा, Instagram, something he might be liking, something he might be doing. Okay, so open source intelligence is basically something that is available to everybody, but nobody is analyzing it in that way. So that right now police doesn't on itself. This can be better done by artificial intelligence. Then how does Mahacrime OS AI improve policing efficiency? So automates routine police work, drafting notices and official letters. All this becomes much faster, reduces time spent on paperwork, faster investigation because ready investigation workflow plan bana dega. Then reduces investigation time. Then legal compliance, suppose timely filing of charge sheets aligned with Bharati Nyaya Samhita requirements. Okay. It is a very good system. Okay, it has started in Maharashtra. Slowly over the next 3-4 years, 5 years, you will see it is getting expanded in all different states. Because understand that AI or big data and all this can be very helpful in analyzing anything. Because if all the data is provided to them, they can give better plans. Human has a very limited capability. Then what have been the rollout pattern? So piloted in Nagpur rural, implemented in 23 police stations. Now statewide expansion has been announced for all 1100 police stations in Maharashtra. Okay, that much detail is not needed. That is for somebody who is preparing for Maharashtra exams and all. For you, it is needed that you understand what is Mahacrime OS, Maharashtra Police and Microsoft, and then what are the capabilities does it have. That's it. Then Initial focus areas were cyber security, narcotics, crime against women, financial fraud. These are the 4-5 things it has focused right now. Now, let's see the questions and we'll be done. Okay, so third statement is clearly wrong. These are intended only for government funded institution. No, it is open for everybody. Answer becomes 1 and 2. Then this was actually a previous year question in 2025. Read the statement carefully. Which of the following above are not correct? Not correct, you have to tell.
1 and 2.
Correct? 1 and 2 are not correct. Now, see, Kavach is an automatic train protection system developed in collaboration with Germany. No, this is indigenous. This students would know or should know. Then, Kavach system consists of RFID tags fitted on track in station section. Yes, this is the main thing. Correct? Now, first statement. Indian Railways have prepared a national rail plan to create future-ready railway system by 2028. This is a wrong statement. This is for 2030. But understand, now some people will start saying that UPSC has started giving just change of 1-2 numbers, and that's why you need to remember all the plans when this one is ending, that is ending. Understand that it was easily eliminatable. Why? Because this was, you must know that this is correct, and this you must know it is incorrect, and that's it. So answer becomes 1 and 2. Then yes, third statement is wrong because this is a Maharashtra government state police initiative. So Home Affairs Ministry, wrong. Answer becomes 1. Last. Fourth. First statement, operator liability is capped at 3,000 crores. Yes. Beyond the liability cap, the central government may assume liability. Yes. Third, supplier liability is automatic in case of gross negligence. No. This is what Shanti Bill changes. It makes it when you have the intention to cause nuclear damage. This used to be the case. Now it is not. This is what they have changed. So third is wrong. It becomes 1 and 2. That's it. That's it for this one. Thank you.